Hey guys, welcome to another video. In this video, I want to talk a little bit about the best marketing strategies that you should be spending your time and energy on for 2025. Because I've just been inundated with messages. Everybody asking like, what should I be doing? You know, there's Google ads, there's YouTube, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there is TikTok, there's organic, there's influencers, there's UGC, like, what do we do? And usually small business owners find them in the space where they want to do everything at the same time, but they don't have the budget. So today's video, it's really just about unpacking what's really going to make the biggest impact in your business depending on where you are and what resources you have. So I don't want to sound like ChatGPT, but I think this can help you take things to the next level if you pay attention and understand my level of thinking, because it's not black and white. Right? Every single marketer is going to tell you, this is the latest system, tactic, this, great. Yes, but it's not that simple. Every business is unique. Everything is a bit more nuanced. And I want to hash out some of the nuances today in this video, which I think you'll find very valuable. So first of all, we need to ask ourselves, how do you categorize a strategy and determine its impact on the business? Because trust you me, like we've got clients and they see ads of this strategy and that strategy, and ChatGPT says this and this guy says that, and everybody just wants to do everything at the same time. But the problem is, as a small business owner, you don't have that budget, you don't have the time, the energy, and the resources to execute at everything at scale. Ideally, you want to be there, but you're not, and that's okay. So if you want to be smart with your resources and your time, energy, and money, it's about picking the services that's going to add the most amount of value to you now. See, everybody wants to do grade 12 math, but you kind of have to do the basics first before you can get to grade 7 and 9 and then 12, where everything starts to make sense. Like, okay, cool. We're doing grade 12 math, but you've never been able to do that if you didn't understand the basics and have gone through the necessary processes in order to actually get to that level. So that's kind of how I see marketing strategies as well. So in this video, I'm going to quickly unpack, as the first part, the 5 different things. I think I've got like 5 different criterias, where I would allocate and score a strategy. And then overall, I can determine the impact on the business and whether that is the next step that I should be doing for the business. Those 5 categories are quite simple. So the first thing is impact on revenue. And this is quite simple, but it basically just boils down to the fact that if I implement this, what is the probability that it's actually going to affect my revenue positively? Right? Because that's the first question we should ask ourselves. If I do this, is there a good chance that I'm going to get my money back, or at least see a result in revenue? And that brings me to the second thing, which is time. This is the second category. What is the impact on my revenue? The second question is, how long will it take for me to see the impact? What is the amount of time it will take to see the impact on my revenue? That's a valid question, because not every single strategy is going to give you an immediate impact, an immediate result. So therefore, some strategies might be really good at driving revenue, but are they going to take super long to implement, which is time, energy, resources, and money? Some strategies can have an immediate impact on revenue, and they might just be so expensive that you can't afford it, which we're going to get to a point now, which is point number 3, which is cost. Now, this is crucial because we all want to increase our revenue 10x, 20x, 30x, like all these marketers claim it's possible. And we want to do that in the shortest amount of time, but the question is, how much is that going to cost? And I had a mentor tell me once, it says like, you either have time or money. If you don't have either, you're screwed. So it's a matter of understanding, like, if you have money, you might not have time because you're too busy making money. If you don't have money, hopefully you have time so that you can spend that time trying to make money. So those are the first 3 so far. What do you guys think will be the 4th one? What is the 4th thing that you think I will ask, or a good marketer at least, or a business owner should ask himself or themselves, herself, when it comes to deciding what to do next? Scalability. If I do this, what will be the impact on my revenue? How long will it take? How much will it cost? And what is the chances that I can actually scale this so that the impact can keep growing? Make sense? That's something you should figure out, something you should know. I think that's extremely important. And hopefully, because I think so, you would think so too. And this brings me to the last point. Think for a second what you think category number 5 should be. We've got impact on revenue, time, cost, scalability. Here it is. Consistency. If I do this, what will be the impact on my revenue? How long will it take? What will be the cost? And would that make sense to my business? Is this scalable? And how consistent will it impact my revenue? How consistently will it make more money for the business or more profit? Because that's what we want. We want, in theory, the ideal service then, if you think about it, will have the highest amount of impact on revenue. It'll take the least amount of time. It'll cost the least amount of money. It'll be very scalable, and it'll be extremely consistent. That's what you want. You want that's what you want. You want impact on revenue to be as high as possible. You want time to be as little as possible, cost to be as little as possible, scalability to be as high as possible, and consistency to be as high as possible. Does that make sense? Am I, how do you perceive this? Maybe leave a comment somewhere and just let me know if that actually makes sense in any way. Because that's just how I like to logically unpack stuff for myself so that I can make better decisions. And hopefully this video helps with that. Cool. So those are the 5 things: impact on revenue, time, cost, scalability, and consistency. And here's what I'm going to do next. We're now going to look at different services and score them out of 10. So we're going to pick a score out of 10 for each of these categories, and then we can collectively decide what will be a good thing to do next, especially for small business owners who have limited time, resources, and money. So the next part of this video, we're going to unpack a couple of different services. Okay? We're going to see what are the different strategies. How many are there? There's a lot. There are many, many. Trust you me, you've probably seen all of them on Google or people talking in your feeds and ads, and this person saying that and that person saying this. ChatGPT, will bombard you with a bunch of ideas as well. So if you had to go to ChatGPT, most likely it's going to say, hey, you need to create content. And I'm just going to use the word organic content. And what I mean by organic is that you create it and you post it on the different social media channels. Okay, hopefully you have social media channels. Otherwise, you're going to struggle to succeed with the internet in the future. So organic content basically alludes to the fact that you have someone creating content for you. You give maybe to a content creator, or you do it yourself, and then you post on the different channels that you have available. Twitter, Meta, which will include Facebook, Instagram, maybe TikTok, etc. So that will be organic content. That is one strategy. The second strategy is ChatGPT is most likely going to say, hey, do Meta ads. Maybe do Google ads. Maybe do TikTok ads. And now you're going, Jandre, we don't just want to do ads. Cool, okay, how about some SEO, which is search engine optimization, to rank higher in the Google feed? What about referrals? Everybody wants word of mouth. Everybody wants to start a loyalty program. What about influencers? What about influencers? What else is there? Can you think of anything else? We've got organic content, Meta ads, Google ads, TikTok ads, SEO. So just for record keeping, Google ads includes Google and YouTube. Meta includes Facebook and Instagram. We've got organic content. We have referrals, influencers, email marketing. Should be doing email, SMS or WhatsApp. And let's not forget affiliate marketing. Okay, so there's 10. We've got organic content, meta ads, Google ads, TikTok ads, SEO, referrals, influencers, email, SMS, and affiliates. I think that's enough. And all of you want to do all 10 things at the same time, as effectively as possible. And that is impossible. Okay? That is just not possible. It's not how it works. It takes time to nurture and get the most out of all of these different channels. It's like a baby that you have to nurture, grow, give TLC, and pay attention to, and you decide whether that's going to be time or money. Do you have your own time to do it, or are you going to pay someone to do it? Those are the hard facts of life. Okay. It's very cost intensive to do all 10 effectively. And that's why I suggest starting with 1 or 2. So now the question becomes, which 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 should we categorize as the most important and start experimenting with, essentially? Right, let's move on. I'm going to split the screen in 2. And what we are going to do is the following. We're going to say impact. We're going to say time. We're going to say cost. We're going to say scalability. And we're going to say consistency. Okay. So first one is cost. And, oh, damn. Both CO. All right. So those are basically the categories. You can just cut this so it's a bit faster. And we're going to now write down number 1, which is organic content. So in essence, organic content, like I said, is everything that you post on your social media channels. It's not directly going to impact revenue. Yes, there are people that say you're 1 reel away, 1 TikTok away from blowing up your business. But in theory, the probability of that happening is very low. Okay, let's just be honest with each other. Like, what are the odds? You know how hard it is. So let's take that into account and then give it a score. I do think it's possible to make revenue from organic content. Gary Vee speaks about it a lot. You know, it can change your business. So you have to keep trying in order to, find that rhythm and get into the algorithm. But the odds are that someone is still going to have to look at the video, then click through then go to your bio or click on the link, and then they're going to have to figure out what you're doing and all of this kind of stuff. It's not like an ad that's just straight to the point telling you exactly what value you're getting. So organic content has a good potential for impact on revenue, but I can't give it more than 5. I can't give it more than 5, just considering the probability of you actually making money from it. So time it takes to make organic content doesn't take long, but we're speaking about the strategy as a whole. So how long will it take to actually make revenue from that impact of 5? I think at least, 3 to 6 months. I think you're going to have to find the rhythm and get it right. And I'm speaking again from the point of view of a small to medium-sized business owner doing all of these things for the first time, not someone who's an expert at some of these things. So in essence, if over 12 months is if 12 months is a score out of 1 out of 10, and 1 month, 30 days is, a really good 10 out of 10, then I'd say probably 6 months. So I can give it another 5. Then we have cost. What is the cost of it? The time it takes to make that content, damn. The money it's going to cost in order to get other people to make that content, because you're going to have to do like 3 reels a week, 3 pieces of content a week minimum, ideally 1 a day. So you're looking at 20 pieces, 30 pieces of content. If you attach 1,000 Rand to each one of them, that's 30,000. Cost, I'm going to give it, as opposed to 5, which is an average fee, average cost for the business, I'd say it's not really, I'd say 4 out of 10. Like, it's not very cost effective. Like, it's going to take time and money. And cost, again, alludes to time and money. So then scalability, you can't really scale organic content. Like, you can make more pieces of content, sure, but it's not like you can just increase the budget and watch it grow. So scalability, you're going to have to get more people. You're going to have to get maybe like a curator to help you. You're going to need more time, more money. So I can't give it. I'm trying to be as fair as possible to everybody's perspectives out there. 5. Then we've got consistency. How consistent is it? If you make revenue from it, how consistent will it be? Not very consistent, because it's 1 out of every 50 reels that's going to bang, right? So I'm going to give that 3. All right, so let's put 22 over here. So we've got 22 points. Next is meta ads. Okay, meta ads, impact. Meta ads is, we've literally, one of our businesses, many of them that we've invested in, and our clients, obviously, that's what we do as an agency. I can tell you now, if you put money in today, you're going to see, hopefully, some form of orders hopefully coming in. Might not be the revenue that you need in order to be profitable, but things are going to happen. You know, there's going to be an impact on revenue somehow. And I believe that'll be a lot more than organic content at the end of the day. So I'm going to give that an 8. I want to give it a 10, to be honest, but again, I'm trying to be as open-minded and unbiased as I can be. So I'd say 8. And the time it takes, you know, within 30 days, you can start to make money. Revenue, at least, not profit, but revenue. And I think everybody will agree. So I'm going to give that an 8 as well. Then cost, you don't have to start with a lot. You can start with $100 a day. So cost efficiency, also 8. 9. Fair? I think so. Then we've got consistency. That's the nice thing about Meta. It's definitely more consistent than organic content. A 5 would be volatile. We've scaled, like I say, we scale businesses all the time using Meta ads and any other forms of paid advertising. I'd say at least a 7 of consistency. Like if you get it right, you should be at 70% at least level of consistency. So how do we have it? 16, 24 plus 9, that becomes 33, 40. Wow, that's a good, is that correct? 18, 16, 24, 33, 40, yeah. So we've got 40. Can you start to see what's starting to happen? Like we can kind of come up with a fair idea of what services we should focus on early on in the business. Let's move on to Google Ads. And what do we have? Impact, I'm going to make that same as Meta. Time, same as Meta. Cost, well, it's similar to Meta. So you can start maybe a little bit more because CPCs are usually, for most industries, a little bit higher. So I'm going to make cost, and it was the first platform to really be in the paid advertising space. So almost everybody advertises on Google and have done it for a long time. So cost, let's make that, should we make it 6? Just to be fair. Scalability, yeah, I'd say 8 at least. And then consistency, I think sometimes actually Google can be more consistent than Facebook if you get the rhythm right. That's just my take on it. Not everybody might agree. So we've got 16 plus 6, that's 22. That, my friends, is 30, 38. Is that correct? 16, 32, 38. Okay, so just before we move on, don't look at these scores as all literal. This is just the broader perspective, the macro perspective of it all, okay? I hope you're not sitting there going, like, we should be doing Google Meta ads before we should do Google ads, because there are other nuances that we need to consider. Other nuances like, is it an intent-driven business? Should intent be created? Because if it's intent-driven, people are searching for it, then Google will work most likely better. If it's a product that's a bit more complicated and you have to explain how it works, then and people are not searching for it, then social is going to be better. So keep in mind that there are many other nuances that we still need to unpack in order to define and to get a clear idea of what's going to be best, which we're not going to do in this video. This video is just more got to do with what should you focus on, or where should you put your energy and attention to, what should you be considering first, and you're trying to narrow it down. So that's the point of this video, is trying to narrow down the services that you should be considering for the business, as opposed to being overly stimulated and overwhelmed with all these options. Okay, so number 4, we've got TikTok ads. Look, I think TikTok ads is great. Impact, I'm going to make 7 for now, because it's still figuring out TikTok ads. Like, it's not as simple to generate revenue from TikTok as it is on Meta and Instagram. Like the psychology of the platform is a bit different. People's attention span is much shorter. Like it's purely entertainment, and there's no other forms of education and information that get shared outside of a very short snippet. So therefore, you know, the impact for now at least is 7. Time, I think, you know, let's make that 8 just to be fair. Cost, not a lot of people are advertising on it at the moment, so it's actually quite cost effective. And then scalability. So I have seen, I'm going to give this a 7, because I have seen that there's differently in the algorithm, a higher probability of things tanking compared to Facebook. I'm not sure why that is yet, like whether the algorithm is not as advanced or matured in terms of distributing the ad linearly. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that, but we have seen many times that the ads on TikTok can run or reach a point of ad fatigue a lot quicker than on Meta. And again, not everybody might agree with me. That's just based on the data that we have. And then consistency, again, same thing. Like this is basic. Sorry, I was actually referring to consistency, but it's the same thing with scalability, because if it's not consistent, then it is going to be difficult to scale too, right? So therefore we have that score: 7, 14, 21, plus 16, 37. Am I correct? Make this 37. Cool. Now we move on to SEO. So on the SEO front, if we had to unpack this for ourselves, impact, you know, can make a huge impact in your business. I would say as high as 8. People build and scale and grow businesses on SEO alone. The time it takes is just so much longer. It takes really, really long. Like it takes about 6 months at least before you start seeing a result on your SEO. So we're going to have to give that a 5. The cost, you know, this is depending on the perspective, because in the beginning it's going to feel like you're bleeding money because you're not making anything, and then it's going to start to break even after like 6 months or so, most likely, depending on other factors. And then it's a matter of looking at it going, cool, the more revenue you start to make, you just spend the same amount of money. The cost per acquisition will technically decrease because it doesn't take more money, it doesn't take more time to do the same SEO you've been doing for the last 6 months, unless you want to. So it's kind of like, it's expensive in the beginning, but it gets cheaper over time, the more it compounds. So you have a compounding effect. Because of that, I'd say 7. I'll give it 7, just to be fair. Then we've got scalability. It's not that easy to scale SEO. Like you can do more, obviously, but it's not as like an ad that you just click and it goes. The same with consistency. So the algorithm updates are happening quite frequently. So I'd give SEO, let's be fair, right? Let's just be fair, 7. I'm being favorable here to SEO, but I think if you have someone really good that's doing it and who's proactive on how these algorithms are affecting your rankings, then sure. But there are regular updates. So if you're going to be doing it yourself, you're going to have to just look into that. So we've got 8 plus 5 is 13, 20, 26, 33. Okay, so we're halfway through. Let's move on to 6, which is referrals. And how would referrals impact the business? Now, for what I've seen, referrals are really hard to get in the first place, unless you have an exceptional product. But it can obviously help your business quite a bit. But I'm going to give that a 6 because there's no guarantee. It's word of mouth. You don't have control over it. You just hope that something happens. Very similar to organic content. You don't have control how people perceive it. You don't have control over the algorithm and how it distributes it. So in this case, impact, I'd say 6. Time, referrals do take a little bit of time because you start with 1 and then 2 and it starts to compound. So I'm going to give that a 5, to be fair. Then cost, referrals don't cost much. I can make that an 8. Well, let's make that a 9, because it's very cheap to do. Maybe a software tool, maybe just a commission that you give for some referrals. So cost 9, I'd say. And then scalability, this is the problem. You can't scale referrals. It gets very hard to scale because you don't have control over word of mouth. You don't have that level of control like you do with ads and stuff like that. And then consistency, also 5, because again, you can't control who says what. So you can get more people to help you with referrals, but there's no guarantee that it's going to work. So consistency, I'd give 5. So we have got 15, 16, 25. Right, number 7, influencers. Right, so if we had to get influencers, what's the impact? You know, if you find someone who's really good at what they do, right niche, right industry, right target audience, you give them the money that they want, then yes, by all means, you're going to see impact in revenue. How long does it take? Well, like Facebook, it can happen all in 30 days, you know, literally overnight. Let's make it 9. Because if someone posts and the audience loves it, they will buy. Cost? You know, this is where it depends on who you're going to get. If you're going to get a very popular person, celebrity, it's going to cost a lot. Micro influencers will be cheaper, but they might not get the impact. So considering the impact, you know, it's going to cost you quite a bit of money in order to get an influencer. So let's be fair with 5, find the balance. Scalability, on the other hand, you know, 5. You know, how do you scale it? Like, you have to get more influencers, but you don't have control. You don't have control guarantee that you're going to get 3 influencers every single month, right? So consistency, same thing, 5. I can't see more than 5 because most people know that influencers are just a shoot and a miss. It's almost like a shotgun approach. You don't know what you're going to get. And I think that's very fair to make a comment on. So 15, 17, 26. All right, we're moving on. We've got email. Now, email here is from the perspective of you have an email database that you already have, and you have a strategy to collect the data, and then you're using that strategy in order to convert people, handling the objections, automations, follow-ups, and all that kind of stuff. That's the email I'm referring to. This is not buying a database and blasting it. This is you building up your own ecosystem, your own database, nurturing that database, and getting revenue from it. So impact, I'm going to give 7. I'm going to give 7 because at the end of the day, like, email is an aggressive part of our marketing strategy. Like, it's just ROI positive. It is. It does make an impact the bigger the database gets over time. So from my point of view, I'm giving it a 7, and I don't care who questions me. Like, I feel confident in that. Time. This does take time to build. Like, if you're starting from scratch, it does take time to build up an audience. So let's give that a 6, essentially. Then cost, I'm going to make this 8. Like, it's actually 9 because it's very cost effective compared to what you're getting back. The ROAS on email is always higher than most other channels. So I'm going to give that a 9. Scalability, you can't scale email unless you scale paid ads and everything else. So you have to drive more traffic and generate more leads in order to scale email. So I'm going to give that a 5. It's not difficult. It's not hard to scale. Sorry. I mean, you can just edit that. It is quite hard to scale. And then consistency, I'm going to give that a 7. I feel that's fair. Some emails might be a miss, some emails might generate revenue, but if you know what you're doing and you're speaking to your audience in a way that they understand and they love your product and business, you're always going to generate some revenue from your emails at least. So let's look at what we've got. We've got 14, 19, if I'm not mistaken, plus 9 becomes 28, and then plus 4, so that's 34. Cool. Now SMS. Now guys, SMS and email is basically the same thing in theory. One is just via email. It's the same type of approach. It's getting data, communicating with the people via the channel that they signed up for and the data that they've given you. So I'm just going to give it the same score, right? So I'm just going to do this. I hope I'm making sense and you understand why I'm doing this. This is a 4 and not a 6, just for everybody watching. And then 10, we've got affiliate marketing. So affiliate marketing is very similar to referrals in a way, but it can make it, I'll probably give it a 7 as opposed to 6 because you have a bit more control and there's incentive for people to actually get other people to click on their links so that they can buy from you. So I'd give that 7. Time, I'd also say it's a little bit less than, I'd say 6 months. So I'd say make it a 6. Because like within 4 months, if you're really nurturing that affiliate strategy and you're really putting time and effort into it, then I think within 4 months you can start to see some good results. Then consistency, that's the problem. I'll give it a 5. Like anybody can get demotivated, they can get a better affiliate opportunity somewhere else, and then you kind of have to keep nurturing it. So scalability, consistency is going to be hard. Scalability, 6, because it's very similar to referrals and influencers and so forth, but I want to just give it the benefit of the doubt because there's incentive, obviously, because every time people buy, that person sending them to the site will get something in form of commission. And consistency, I'd say 6. Because people, again, the incentive helps people to stay a little bit more consistent. So you get 6, 12, 18, 23, 30. Okay. So now we have a good idea of a total score of the different strategies and the impact on the business, the time, the cost, the scalability, and the consistency. And now we can ask ourselves, if we had to rank this accordingly, how would that look like? Okay, so let's list all the strategies. I'm going to say top strategies. And in essence, keep in mind, this is for a small to medium business that's kind of like starting out. They're generating some sales and they're looking to focus on what's next. That is the point of view that we are adapting. So number 1, we had meta ads, if you remember. But again, Google Ads was technically in a very close second, and I would suggest that both of them are equally important. So they would technically share the number 1 spot, in my opinion. And again, depending on the business, the industry, and the nuances, that will be the determining factor on which one you choose. Then we had TikTok ads. Then we had email and SMS. So in theory, just to give you the scores, this was 40, this was 38, this was 37, this was 34, this was 34. Again, these two share 4th place together. Then we had SEO, we had affiliates. I remember these scores because I have done this exercise before. Then we had referrals, influencers, and organic content. So I'm just going to make OG. Okay, so that's from top to bottom. I just want to highlight quickly for 1 second that organic content, you can't do meta ads, Google ads, TikTok ads, email really effectively without this. Okay, so in theory, you need organic content, whether you like it or not. You need content for the business, so therefore that's just a must. So I'm just going to put this over here and say this is kind of like compulsory. Like you can't really build a business without content in today's world, so that's kind of like a must. And then after organic content, you will be able to decide, is it meta ads, Google ads, TikTok, email, and SMS? And those are the services that I will start with that will essentially have the biggest impact on revenue and the shortest amount of time and the most cost-effective way. That's the most scalable and essentially the most consistent, in my opinion. So that's where you kind of like draw the line. And then all of these become things that you latch onto the business and the marketing strategy as you start to make more profit. Okay? So these are the winners, and those are the ideal strategies you want to focus on in order to grow your business. So I hope that helped and that made logical sense to you. It did to me. Much love to you, and if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe for more of it. Much love. Cheers.